Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers, Facebookians. Welcome to another edition of Living Simply in Fun. I'm your host, Rita. Now, in the last video, before I went washed up and stuff, I still got to get dressed today. I was talking to you all about Chloe, not negativity. I just said basically, it's negligence on my part if I send her off to the hospital, and I'm not hospital, out of state to be homeless. Now I'm gonna read you a couple things. Okay, I sent this to Teddy and to Aya and some others. Now it states here. Okay, let me read you this PDF. Okay, it says the Involuntary Treatment Act process. Washington State has rules and guidelines related to psychiatric evaluation and involuntary commitment of individuals, especially RCW and RC adults, alright? These laws are referred to as the Involuntary Treatment Act. Now, does each county in Washington has their own team of DMHPs, or aka DCRs, that operate under the ITA, Crisis and Outreach Workers for a county, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The referrals to DMHPs come from a variety of sources as family members, emergency departments, law enforcement, outpatient mental health provider. Any of these former who have a patient or family member who's a psychiatric crisis can call. Problem is, in this county, they don't. They make you go into an office and then they sit down with you. They say usually if you need to be hospitalized, go to an ER. That's what they usually say. So basically, this part here is false, and now King County is different. You can call up their crisis thingy, basically, it says here, during an evaluation of an individual, DMHP, aka DCR now, will clinically assess a person, make determinations of the psychiatric crisis or mental condition. Every effort will be made to arrange for treatment in the community. Short-term crisis stabilization or voluntary first. These are always the first choices. If the person refuses all voluntary help, he may be appropriate for involuntary. It's important to remember that a mental disorder alone is not sufficient to justify involuntary detention, which means court order, which means you got to go to court for it. Under state mental health laws, a person must meet at least one of the three criteria for involuntary commitment. Danger to self. Chloe's made that threat many times. The hospital's record, the last record, said she's not a danger. It's all fucking bullshit made up. Danger to others, always making threats against others, which they didn't want to believe it anyways. They're gravely disabled. Yeah, that's the other criteria. These are the specific circumstances a person can consider for involuntary. A, is she has threatened harm towards others or herself, which she has. Problem is, in her last record, she can get out of it, but saying the doctor says it's bullshit, so it's bullshit. 2, substantially damage someone else's property. Yeah, And 3, she is endangered because she's not caring for his or her basic needs such as eating, sleeping, clothing, and shelter. Well, that's where I came in. Now, if I threw her out on the street, then they could use that card too. And, telling her, well, she wants to be basically to go to another state is basically, to be homeless is considered not taking care of herself. Or shows severe deterioration functioning, is not receiving essential care as needed for their health and safety. Well, let's put it this way. She's got food, but she's been worried about her food stamps. Now her food stamps is restorative. She shouldn't worry. Food stamps, no problem. Living, well, if I threw her out, they'd have to basically involuntary her because, under the guidelines that she has no shelter. She's on the lease, but, we put her on the lease thinking she'd be on disability. So, let's continue. If it appears the involuntary detention is necessary, the evaluating person will make a written statement from a witness firsthand the behavior providing evidence for detention. The statement is called a declaration. It's important to understand this document is a certified statement of fact. The person who gives the statement is agreeing to testify in court. See, I won't agree because, frankly, if I did, under oath at a commitment hearing, during the hearing as a witness, you will have the opportunity to give a statement as to why you believe your friend or family member needs continued inpatient treatment. See, I would have to give a statement, so would Tara, so would Corey, so would, her mom, and that would mean sending her out, and then it would be 3 days evaluation, 14 days determination. Now, it says here, Once the patient is placed in an ENT facility, evaluation treatment facility, specifically Fairfax, Cascade, Swedish, or one of the other, the patient will be seen by 24 hours by an admitting physician, a doctor, to determine a physician or psychiatric nurse, a nurse practitioner, registered nurse practitioner, and other clinical information. The clinical team has 72 hours to determine further inpatient is necessary. They did that at Smokey and booted her. If so, a hospital court evaluator, usually a psychologist or a licensed independent clinical social worker, an LISCSW, must petition the court and a commitment hearing will take place. Court hearing, the patient is present with either his or her private attorney or appointed attorney, which basically gives the invoke she's been arrested illegally under court order. The county prosecuting attorney represents the facility. A superior court commissioner or judge presides hearing by the witness and make the decision. She may have the following: order the person for 14 days of additional involuntary treatment in the facility. Facility may release person whether the clinical thinks that treatment is complete, which means, etc. Order the person less restrictive, which means Chloe just pack up and leave. She'd say, fuck you, and she'd leave the state. She wouldn't care. There wouldn't be a warrant out for her because it's a mental thing. Less restrictive treatment. The commissioner or judge may accept the patient's agreement to stay in treatment involuntary. The judge would dismiss the case and the patient go free. Voluntary dismissal of the petition, which means just determining. Case may be continued at a later date or revisited or reviewed at any time. So basically, the restrictive order says, basically, a 72-hour hearing that the individual needs more time in a psychiatric, court order, 14 more restrictive, consisting of psychiatric nurse, therapist, discharge planner, court coordinator, court evaluator, and 14 days of continued treatment. Treatment facility may release the individual whenever the clinical team is at treatment, or if the patient is nearing the 11th day of their 14th day of facility treatment, believes the patient may need more time, they can petition for more restrictive days of involuntary, or 180 for adolescents, and at 90, then it goes 180. The treatment team would make the decision together whether to file for more time, which they would. Next one is 90 or 180 involuntary typically initiates patient as need more time spent in a psychiatric facility. This ensures medication stabilization is established an appropriate discharge plan for the patient for long-term treatment at another facility such as Western or Eastern states. For additional commitment period, another court hearing is required for they keep increasing it at 180 days. Court is determined each time whether or not the person still needs involuntary, meets the legal criteria. This is to protect the patient from inappropriate commitment. Psychiatric facility may release the individual whenever the team thinks the treatment is complete. Following day after file for more restrictive, a trial set is dated scheduled for the 90 or 180 more restrictive hearing. Typical patient waives their presence in court for the trial set as the process takes a few minutes to decide between the patient and the defense attorney. For 90-180, patient may choose a bench judge trial, which is 1 week from the date of the trial set. Patient may choose a jury trial, which would be typically 2 weeks from the day of the trial set. And then the less restrictive alternative is the conditional release petition by the hospital or IDA court. This means the patient has to enter outpatient treatment, or Chloe, of course, will get outpatient care, fucking packed up and leave, and then that's it. She will just pack up and leave. This means the patient has to enter outpatient treatment. Court order dictates. Often court order specific person has to enter the treatment. She wouldn't. She'd just say fuck you and leave the state. Health center must take such medication. She'd tell them fuck you. Take medications as recommended by the mental health center for 180 or 90 days. So she'd just tell them to leave. And then if a revocation occurs when an individual released from a previous psychiatric hospital on LRO, less restrictive violates, yes. But if she violated it and left the state, they're not going to pursue her in another state because they don't want to waste $100,000 tracking her down. Is re-detained as a violation. Order less restrictive hearing and adolescent 7 days, weekends, outpatient providers. From witness where the first observed the individual in violation and yada yada yada. Role of the witness is this. So, for example, King County issues subpoenas for individuals that have completed a declaration or affidavit, or any county. Person's behavior. Primary witnesses are licensed by is listed by DMHP in the detainment. Witnesses should call the court. which I would get out of it because I'm not going to be doing it. I don't have the money to do it. They'd have to pay me and put me in a hotel and everything else, so fuck them. Contact with court coordinator 1 to 2 days before patient's turn to inform that they're present if the hearing takes place. And that's it. Then it says, basically the Ida courts in Seattle and manager and yada yada yada, and there you go. So basically, this whole thing, okay? Basically, I was telling Chloe, okay? Basically, I told Chloe outright, to be involuntary treated, I'd have to basically swear, okay? Now, one of the things I refuse to do, okay, is swear, yes, Tara J, Gabby, Lexi, Tara P. Hole, Corey A. Hole, Aya, all of them, Chloe's mom, they could all be witnesses and say, yes, Chloe put a knife to her threatened to kill herself. They didn't involuntary at the time. Therefore, the state would be going after Moses Lake PD for not doing the job. However, because of that video as being witnesses, or the video basically sitting there, basically confirming that Chloe's made threats against the men in black, that could be used as evidence too, which I don't want to submit any of it because, frankly, the best course of action, as I said, would be to send Chloe on her merry way. Now, if she didn't want, and she wants mental hospital, I'll do it, but I'll basically be the one invoking the Involuntary Treatment Act because, the thing is logically she needs to be getting help. She's not getting help, and, basically, and on top of that, I will invoke the mental records by saying, look, she basically, it says in her record, she told the hospital, this is only what I'm saying, not what the hospital said. The hospital could have put it in there. Chloe says that. So let's believe Chloe and say, yes, hospital put in there. Hospital put in that she's got a masturbation problem. She likes to be on her computer and masturbate all day. That's not a crime. Hospital put in that Chloe knocked down a couple of her co-workers, threatened to put a knife in her boss's head. That could be used. But if you go to the future, to the last hospitalization where they used the hospital records here on the island to transfer her, it stated, I don't think Chloe would really commit herself, and I think it's all a con job, a show. I don't think she'd procure herself a rope. Besides that, with no money, she can't buy a rope unless she gets Rita to spend money to get a rope. Okay? Therefore, the lady basically determined in her own thoughts, the doctor, well, she did her job. Okay, I found this out. She did her job. She didn't want to invoke the DCR for involuntary commitment because it was too long. The guy wasn't coming in to the island to deal with it. And two is she just basically signed voluntary. Fortunately, she put in her report that she wanted Chloe to be discharged and sent to a homeless shelter to get a job and etc. And basically put the relationship was toxic because of Chloe, not me. Now that she knows that I was drinking because Chloe was causing it, that's a different story, okay? Now, involuntary, you can do it for substance use disorders. Yes, that's what they tried for me. I basically walked out the front door, said, fuck you. I wasn't arrested, fuck you, and I left. Came out here. But the reason Grant Integrated Services was not going to involuntary is because they don't think Chloe necessarily needs it, okay? Here's the thing, okay? Let's break it down, okay? From April to July of 2017, 2 years ago, almost, Chloe kept trying to get involuntary, or voluntary treatment. They said, well, we can do outpatient. See, Grant was doing their job by saying, look, the options are not used up for outpatient care. We can look after you. We can get you medicated. We can properly evaluate you and everything. When Chloe didn't get that, she finally packed up with the heart review. And heart review took her. Grant got mad. That's when the start of this whole problem. Then when she kept going back, wanting to go back in November, they said no. So what she did, she said, fuck you. She packed up and left. By then, they already diagnosed her borderline at Confluence. Again, one appointment, rubber stamp, okay? Now, I know Tara J and Gabby and Lexi and all of them know, as well as Tara Beetle, you have to be diagnosed with at least 8 to 12 appointments or more to be diagnosed borderline. It can't just be that. They're basically going off criteria saying she meets it all. Here you go. Like a judge ordering an order. Alright? Then, because of the meds weren't working yet again, she got off of them, okay? She had some problems. She told Harvard she was going to hang herself. She had a rope and everything. One of the things I did talk to the doctor about, it was about the rope. She never had a rope at all, literally. So technically that's another reason why they put that, but she told them that they were putting her in for cutting. her records were put in every time was for suicide ideation. All right. Now, because of it, Harborview takes it seriously. They're not going to discharge you if you have suicide ideation. Even if you say it, you're basically being detained and sending involuntary detained while they evaluate you to a hospital. Now, the last time she went to in March, as everyone knows, she went to Harborview yet again. She got tired of it. And that was her way of escaping, from what I understand, to leave me permanently. But, things happen. And because that's what Harborview said in their record. So they were planning to put her in another place, and so Cascade already had it recognized that she needed to be, but Harborview, if she went back to Harborview again, she would be placed at Cascade or Fairfax right away, whereas basically, Cascade wants her, but Skagit thinks outpatient care. See, what Skagit's doing is they're trying to basically follow through with, let's try a less restrictive before we do court order, because if she's willing to go to outpatient care, then it's fine, but, that's why they put it in place. Now, if she refuses all treatment, honestly, she has a right to, okay? Look at it. She recommended to go, but when we got a hold of the Smokey records, they said, quote unquote, she refused treatment, she refused meds, they just kicked her out. She's on her own. They even put self-diagnosed autistic, unknown diagnoses, and all of it. They didn't have time to diagnose it. They just said unknown. They put possibly borderline, but more likely not. Same with these other diagnoses, all ruled out. So everything was ruled out, but they're not saying autism, so no one knows. So technically, and also, like I said, Grant basically stuck in bipolar, it's just being asked. The lawyer said you can't basically be borderline bipolar 2, schizophrenia, schizoaffective, and yada yada yada. I don't want to go into details, but you get the idea. So if I have to go with her to the hospital, I basically start the invoking process of Ida because, but honestly, like I said, that would be my opinion. But the thing is I frankly don't want to testify because frankly I've seen it. Literally, all they need is 2 videos. They quit basically interrupting. So technically, I didn't say that. I said if I was going to go, I would try to invoke it, but frankly, I don't want to sign any statements because frankly, there's enough evidence already laying around that Chloe can get out of it anyways. Look, she's an adult, alright? APS says she's not vulnerable, so, and because she refuses treatment, like I said, the ticket's on the table. The problem is I just don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Look, here's the real problem, okay? To do the involuntary treatment, as I said, you have to have a statement. I'm not signing it. The hospital has enough evidence. They should just do it on their own. Literally, if they're gonna fucking subpoena people, oh, I'm sorry, Miss Chloe's mom, you gotta come out to Washington. She'll be like, fuck you. Well, there's a warrant out for your arrest because he said fuck you. Oh, sorry, Corey and Terry, you gotta come up. Fuck you. We're not leaving Oregon. There's a warrant out for you. That's what it is. If you don't go to these hearings, they can put a warrant out for your arrest just because you're a witness. And they're basically illegally arresting you and placing you in a mental hospital because they think, this is another way that they read you, the DCR reads you your rights and said you're now entitled to cancel this discussion with the interview until you get a lawyer. Literally. And then they basically go ahead and proceed. Look, they tried to do involuntary to me. Guess what I did? I fucking walked out the front door. I'm still waiting for them to fucking send something to mail. Oh wait, they can't because my mail's been changed and it's been 6 months. 3 o'clock. They close at 6. This little card says here they close 10 to 6 on Friday. I'm just saying, technically, I'm not going to basically, Sorry, I'll hand up this. Yeah, well, I got to get dressed. All I'm saying is, honestly, frankly, well, I can meet you there. I'm just taking the shopping cart anyways, then. Anyways, basically, like I said, I know everyone's watching this. I know Tara already knows, because I told Tara the other day, that, stuff like this kind of irritates me. You know, like, I was planning to go to the library because it's sunny, otherwise it was raining, I wasn't gonna go, but, you know, like I said, Tara knows that, usually I don't like going up there, to take too much out of me to go up and down hills, and, you know, if I had a power chair, it'd be nice, but, you know, I don't have one, so I gotta take my dumpy time, you know, and I don't even have gloves right now, my gloves went missing again, you know, so my hands are freezing last night, was numb last night, so, but all I'm saying under the IDA program is, you know, the hospital probably could invoke it. I just don't want to fucking be a witness because, frankly, it's a waste of my time just to do it. I mean, literally, it's better to spend, in my opinion, it's better to spend 79 to 129, chip her out, let it go. You know, and let's see if she can get help in Pittsburgh over sending her to the involuntary because, you know, it's not right. So, anyways, this video is gone long enough, so please add subscribe, please post comments, please leave feedback, suggestions, keep it nice as always. Hit that like and subscribe button, show some fun, even for family. Hit that bell notifications for new content when I upload it. Thanks for watching, everyone, and enjoy every pub.